The Senate is about to take up this year's National Defense Authorization Act. My colleagues and I on the Senate Armed Services Committee have worked hard to bring this bill to the floor for consideration by all of our fellow senators, and we bring it to our colleagues with a resounding committee action. In our committee markup, we voted in a landslide, 26 yeses and only 1 nay, to advance the bill, a nearly unanimous endorsement of this legislation. My colleagues and I have spent the past 7 months listening to the nation's top military officials. These officials from commands stationed all over the world have detailed the dangerous threat environment facing the United States. This NDAA is a direct response to their testimony. In our overwhelmingly positive committee vote, we sent a clear message. We agree with the testimony of our military officials. Both Republicans and Democrats agree that we are not where we need to be on national defense. This bill helps close that gap. The committee's fiscal year 2026 NDAA is focused on 2 themes: rebuild and reform. Again, by a vote of 26-1, we adopted a bill with a $924.7 billion top line, an increase that recognizes the urgent need to rebuild our military. We also adopted numerous reforms to the Pentagon's antiquated business processes captured in my Forged Act, the most significant acquisition reform proposal in decades. This NDAA will help rebuild the U.S. military so that our service members are better equipped for the threats of the 21st century. This bill makes investments in cutting-edge technology such as artificial intelligence, cyber defenses, drone production, and the means to defend ourselves against drones. We authorized a 3.8% pay raise for service members, and we expanded programs to continue President Trump's successful military recruitment surge. This NDAA supports the DoD's role in border security and rolls back statutory requirements for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at the Pentagon. Throughout, we sought to give the President the tools needed to keep the homeland safe. This NDAA helps equip the United States to counter the Chinese Communist Party. The committee included authorizations to replenish munitions used earlier this year against Iran, to accelerate shipbuilding, to support the Golden Dome initiative, and many other important initiatives. This National Defense Authorization Act would bring the Pentagon's acquisition process into the modern day. For one example, in just a single provision of this bill, we repeal 86 outdated or unnecessary acquisition policies. Actions like that help turn the page on an outdated system as we look to the future. This bill streamlines decision-making processes at the Pentagon and brings more competition to the procurement process. The committee recognizes that America is full of innovators who are developing exactly the kinds of technologies that dominate the battlefields of the 21st century. We produced an NDAA that taps into that talent. Our deliberations resulted in an overwhelming vote count. Perhaps one reason for such a consensus was that our drafting process was collaborative and involved. The bill contains 985 items that were driven by members of this body. Of that, 78 items were member requests for military construction. Another 136 items came from senators requesting budget increases for procurement, operations, and maintenance, and research and development. And 771 items were policy ideas directly responding to member requests. In total, those 985 items totaled 60 more than last year and are a sign of a strong bipartisan consensus that we need to move quickly to modernize our armed forces, as those statistics bear out. This is a highly member-driven bill. Our committee markup was characterized by that same collaborative spirit. We conducted 49 votes on amendments, working from 9:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., only 10 hours, perhaps a record. And I'm certain it was an efficient and effective process. As I look at that 26-1 committee vote, have I emphasized that enough, Mr. President? A 26 yes, 1 no committee vote. I want to thank my colleagues on the committee. My dear friend, the ranking member, Jack Reed of Rhode Island, has already spoken. He deserves credit. He and his colleagues contributed thoughtful and decisive ideas to this bill, and our staffs worked closely throughout the process. As I prepare to conclude, may I stress that a regular order process will always yield the best results. I regret that last summer the NDAA was not given full consideration on the Senate floor. This is our opportunity to correct that. I'm confident that Leader Thune will want to do things differently this week and next. We need an open amendment process undertaken in the light of day. My fellow senators have already filed hundreds of amendments. The American people deserve to see how their elected officials are voting on important national security matters. It has not been that long since we've had an open amendment process with multiple managers' packages and dozens of votes. As recently as 2023, we considered 900 amendments during floor debate, and we adopted 121 of them, the most amendments adopted to the Senate NDAA in years. We can do it again, Mr. President, and I ask my colleagues to join us in showing this great body working as the founders intended. In an increasingly dangerous world, this is our moment to provide a strong national defense. My colleagues on the Armed Services Committee stand fully behind this bill. We're eager to begin working with the rest of our colleagues in the Senate as we consider this year's National Defense Authorization Act on the floor. Let's have a resounding yes vote in just a few minutes, and then let's get to work.